We got the Chiefs coming up, and everybody's feeling good. The Niners are 3-3, just beat a divisional foe on Thursday Night Football, and we got the Chiefs coming to town. Hey, is it cash or is it credit? Roll it. We're here. My man with the plan, Tom Jensen. It's your boy, the coach, here in the Coach's Huddle, where the field meets family. I'm here with my right-hand man, Tom Jensen. We're here once again. And Tom, we got some topics today. We got some things to talk about. Okay, we're going to get to it. But first, before we get into it, I want to say hello to you and yours. It's been a while, Tom, because we had this early game on Thursday, right? I feel like I feel like I haven't seen you in a month of Sundays.
It's been a little while, not that long.
It's been a little while, man.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, look, all I'm saying is that I'm so glad to be back. I'm fighting a cold. I was sick as a dog on Thursday. I'm still trying to get through it now. But first, before we get into it, Tom, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, Coach. Glad to hear you're doing better.
Thank you. So, you're not getting out of here so fast, buddy. First of all,
okay,
like the cut. I noticed the cut. Tom got a new cut. The do is looking good, Tom. Second of all, let's talk about your weekend meeting Grant over the weekend at the Seahawks game, man. Talk about it, man.
Well, Grant and I decided that we were going to meet for lunch after the game on Friday. And then Ashley Ariana, who I do a show with on Tuesdays, came along. So the three of us met up at my favorite Mexican place in Seattle. We had a great time. Excellent food, great company. Yeah. We had a great time.
Phenomenal time. Phenomenal. So look, let's get into it, man. It's always great connecting with the people that you do shows with. But we got a game coming up, Tom.
Big one.
We got a big one coming up. I'm excited, bro. I'm tapped in. All right? So look, let's get to it. 49ers at 3-3, okay? After an inconsistent start, the 49ers have leveled their record to 500. As they prepare to face the Chiefs, are they gaining momentum or still searching for their identity? Give me a temperature check on where we stand facing the Chiefs.
I think that we've made some progress in areas, but I'm not completely sold on this team yet. I like what we saw from the rookies in Seattle. I like that they're starting to believe in themselves. But I look at that game against the Seahawks and say a better quarterback wins that game for Seattle. Geno Smith gift wrapped the game. And so you have to take it in that context and say, we won, but we're still not at last year's standard yet.
Yeah, I agree. But I want to give a little bit of a pushback. Last year's standard is just that. Last year, right? Is there a new standard? I understand. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room. The Chiefs are 5-0, right? In some instances, you could say from a 10,000-foot view, they look better than ever, even upgraded in certain areas, right? But if you're here to look at the context of it, right? They're just getting injured. They're losing players, right? They've managed to stay undefeated. We have kind of stumbled out of the blocks, not necessarily found our groove. Would you say, all right, taking out the records, just looking at the teams, right? Who would you say is peaking right now? Who would you say is finding their stride, right?
I don't think either team has. They're still searching for who they will ultimately be. And so the Niners still have to figure things out. They still haven't figured out the red zone. They did a better job in run defense against Seattle. but the Seattle offensive line was banged up. So, what conclusions can you really draw? From the Kansas City side, yeah, they have some injuries, but they're still the Chiefs. They still have Mahomes. They still have great players on defense. So I don't think this is something where you can look past them and just say, well, they're injured, so now we can take them down. Not necessarily.
Right. So we got some guys in here already who are in here touting again. We love to see you Chiefs again, right? Yeah. But my biggest thing right now is they're past the victory against this team, right? I feel as though that the best thing that what they do, believe it or not, would have to be their defense. I'm not necessarily as impressed with Patrick Mahomes in years past as we have been at this juncture of the season. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. The defense is carrying that team right now.
Yeah.
But Mahomes and the offense, Kansas City tends to play this where they're kind of flip the switch. That they go through the motions of the regular season, then they flip the switch, then they play at their best when the playoffs begin. So I don't read too much into Kansas City right now, big picture. But they can be had right now because they don't really take the regular season as, oh, we've got to stay undefeated. I don't think that's their mindset.
Right. I don't think it's their mindset either. Coming into this game, the Niners just leveled out their season. We did pretty good in the last games that we've played. I really love what we did against the Chiefs. I mean, not the Chiefs, but the Seattle Seahawks on the ground. Defense showed improved with young emergence from Ronaldo Green. We saw really good plays from Malik Mustafa. We don't necessarily know exactly where we stand with Jordan Mason, where he's day to day. But coming into this game, I feel like this is an even matchup, especially with what they have right now. They have three of their biggest players right now on IR, and Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, and Hollywood Brown. And with us, excuse me.
Well, so given that, Kansas City has some key people out. Pacheco is an important piece for them. And so how do they compensate for that? What we normally see from Andy Reid is he'll find a way. He'll plug somebody in. He won't be as impactful as Pacheco would be, but he'll still have somebody that can fill in and get the job done. In terms of losing Hollywood Brown, they've still got Xavier Worthy, Juju, and of course Kelsey. So they've got targets that they can go to. But for the Niners, I think that the real concern is just how do you beat this defense?
Right. And I think it's with the run game. Right about now, I really believe that what we've shown with what works with this offense is I feel as though that we can move the ball on anybody when we take small chunks, right? We take what the defense is giving us. One of the biggest things that I've seen that gets us in trouble is Brock, and it seems as though that Brock and Kyle have kind of taken kind of like a syntax on wanting to get big plays through Brock's arm, being able to step back into the pocket and just stand in the pocket. That's not the strength of this team. We don't necessarily have anybody that's going to take the top off the defense yet, right? Nobody's emerged as that player. And on top of it, it's not the strength of what in my opinion has been our strongest unit thus far on the entire team, which is our offensive line. We've got to be able to cater to what our offensive line does best, which is being able to run behind strong runners. I think that the fleet-footedness of the style of offensive line we have, we're not bruisers. We're not going to play inside out. This is not a B on B. This is not a body on body offensive line. We're not a gap scheme offensive line. We're zone. We're going to run sideline to sideline. We're going to get to the second level and cut guys off. Give guys a chance to get creases and get upfield. I think that that's what we need to start leaning into with our team. And for that, I feel as though that one thing that we do very well is time of possession, being able to calm things down. Tom, we're not led by our defense anymore. That's one of my biggest takeaways from being 6 games in. we are not defensively led. We're a good defense. We're good, right? We're better than most, right? So that much you can say. But if you look forward, well, not even look forward, but just look back in what we've done in years past, we're not going to get there having 2-3 drives where we peter out. We try to figure out where to get it, where to find our groove offensively, because our defense keeps giving us the ball back. Those days are over, Tom. What do you say?
I agree with that completely. There's more talent on offense. There's fewer issues on offense. And I think that with the offensive line playing as well as it is right now, that elevates the entire team, gives them a better leg up to establish the run, and hopefully Mason can play and play well. They're going to need it because looking at the stats with Kansas City, they're fourth against the run, 3.7 yards per attempt. Their last two opponents have only rushed for 55 yards or less. So this is a good run defense they're facing. And it's how are you going to get this done? What's different in past matchups from Kansas City is we finally have somebody that can actually block Chris Jones. Pooney is there.
Thank you.
That's going to make an immense difference in this matchup. But Kansas City can counter, especially on passing downs, where they will move Jones outside on 3rd and long and passing downs to get him against Colton McKivitz instead of Pooney. So I think that's a wrinkle that Spags will have ready. But in the run game, it's going to be Pooney taking on Jones, and I think Pooney will hold his own.
Yeah. But all right, so there's a fly in the ointment, Tom. So let's get to the next topic because we're going to get into it because I really do. We're basically going into our next topic, right? So our next topic right now is running right into the 49ers versus the Chiefs, the defining matchup. And look, I like the matchup. I've kind of looked at the defense offensively, and yeah, there's a lot of areas where we can get got. But for my blood, I like our offensive line against this defense. Call me crazy, man. For what I see right now is I believe that not only is Pooney going to have a good game against Jones, okay, and we can still engineer around Jones the way we've done against multiple guys this season. All right, we had to do this. We had to do this against Quinnen Williams with the Jets, right? We had to do this. With who's the D tackle that we had to go up against? Leonard Williams with Seattle, right? We've had to do this week to week. We've done this whole song and dance with Aaron Donald, right? Being able to engineer around him. We can engineer around Chris Jones. My guy on defense for the Chiefs that I don't think is getting enough credit is Leo Chenal. They're inside linebacker.
Yeah,
he's everywhere.
Solid. Yeah,
he's everywhere.
Very good, LB. And he's the big reason why their run defense is that good. Chenal gets to the ball in a hurry. There's a couple of people on that team that I love. Chenal's one of them. Chris Jones and Trent McDuffie. I think that all three of those guys make that defense work. But the thing that we need to come to terms with is simulated pressure and blitzing. Shanahan hasn't figured it out yet when he faces Spagnuolo. Does Kyle have an answer this time? Is Pooney that answer? We'll find out soon enough. But I think that that's still going to be an issue, is that the biggest mismatches in this game are Andy Reid versus Nick Sorensen, Steve Spagnuolo versus Kyle Shanahan. How do you address those? That's what they have to work on. Can Kyle figure out what Spags dials up in blitzes and sim pressure? If he can, then Purdy's going to have enough time to find his people and get things going. Because the one key weakness that I think is there for Kansas City, they're great in defending the run. They're great at stopping receivers. They're 31st in passing to tight ends. That's where they're vulnerable. This team can be beat if we can get the ball to Kittle, provided Brock has enough time. So Kyle has to figure out what Spags is doing and give Purdy enough time. And if Purdy has enough time, he can go to Kittle and get something going.
Do you think this is a team that they're going to blitz us? All right,
heavily.
Yeah, This is one team that's not going to sit back. I think last year they were in the mid 20s. I'm about to say 26 to 28% in blitz pressure throughout the season, which had them in the which had them in the 90th percentile of the league. And then the season, for better measure, they upped it to 38. I mean, these are stats right out of Kyle's mouth that I got out of the press conference that he had earlier today. So not only do they do it against every team that they face, but they love to do it against us. One of the things that I feel that you have weapons offensively that not only can you use to attack the defense, but they're weapons that also help you defend yourself from the defense as well, right? And one of the things that I'm looking for offensively from us is one thing that's a common denominator every time we face the Chiefs is that we are slower than them. And not speed-wise, but process-wise. Getting out of the huddle, using the entire play clock, not going hurry up, not taking advantage of opportunities during the game. They seem to just be a little bit more punchier than us, agile in being able to understand who's on the field, who doesn't need to be in certain positions on the field, and how to take advantage of that. That's what I want to see versus the Chiefs coming into this game on Sunday is where do you see the Niners being able to say, all right, we give up. We know you're going to blitz us. We know you're not going to let us shift all over the place. You're not going to let us dictate to you. We get it. When do we start going up tempo, right? When do we start going no huddle? When do we start saying, all right, you know what? If you want to blitz, we're going to start moving so fast that you're going to have to start living with the consequences of what you're going to do. All right. You're not just going to be able to go full tilt and blow up what we have going on. I feel as though that offensively, sometimes we are so preoccupied with carrying out our own process that we don't understand what's happening contemporaneously, like in the now, to be able to say, dude, it doesn't matter what play we run. They're teeing off against us. So right now, the burden of proof is on us to be perfect. All they have to do is just throw one thing off, and then we automatically are off kilter, right? We're behind schedule. Another thing, they're not going to play zone against us. We know this. They do not play zone against us. Not only do they blitz us, but they got the balls to go man.
Well, and right? they play press man more than any team in the league. Because they blitz so often. I mean,
they have to.
They're number 4 in the league in blitz rate, and I think they're first or the very least top 3 in press man. So that's who they are. That's what they are. The problem is blitzing and press man is exactly what Brock Purdy has struggled to beat, and Shanahan.
They're gonna have to get open. I feel like what the biggest thing that the Chiefs do to us is that they make us play them, right? They take all of the governors off. They take all of the shifts. They take all of the prerequisite advantages that we have in games. They don't let us mismatch on anybody. They go hat for a hat. They play cat football. You got that cat. I got that cat. You got this cat. And then they just tee off against us. And for me, I'm trying to figure out, when do we have a basic mode of saying, all right, these dudes don't want to box us. They want to stand toe-to-toe and slug with us, right? Why are we still throwing jabs, man? Like, I don't understand. It seems as though that it's not even about the Chiefs anymore. It's about the Chiefs showing that they will do anything to beat us. They will change the way their process is. There'll be a different offense to beat us. There'll be an offensively led team, and then there'll be a defensively led team, right? They'll beat us by trying to blow us out with speed. Then they'll turn around, strip everything away, and then beat us with small ball, right? With just enough to stay dangerous, and then to let Patrick Mahomes take it over in the end. I feel that our issue is that the common denominator is that we keep trying to run back the same version of what we think is going to beat them. And they keep showing us that any version will beat us as long as we never change. Because we're an easy target because we're stagnant.
Well, and we're a Kyle Shanahan coach team. We don't change, we don't adjust. All those things you said, speed it up, hurry up offense, more pacing, more rhythm, that's not us. And Kansas City knows it. That's the other thing is that, yeah, they tee up, but they do it knowing that Shanahan is at no risk of running hurry up. He doesn't do it. Or speeding the game up and taking less time in the huddle. Kyle is focused on his system. He wants to do things his way. And so he keeps doing things his way. Spagnuolo knows that, dials up to beat it, and disrupt it.
Moving forward into offensive, what we got to see from them on offense. They've lost some guys. We already talked about it. They lost Rashay Rice, right? They lost Isaiah Pacheco, right? They've lost some pretty big contributors to their offense. Right now, their guys right now are Justin Watson, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce, and Kareem Hunt. And they're still managing to stay top 10 offense in the league. I believe they're 7th. Really, the gem of this offense is really 7 people. It's that offensive line, Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. That's what makes this offense go. And what they're going to do is they're going to run on us. This is what they're going to do. They're going to run on us. They're going to make us try to prove that we can stop the run because they've got a top 10 interior offensive line. They got the 7th overall guard in Joe Thuney at left guard. They got, in my opinion, the best center in the league in Creed Humphrey, all right, at center. And then at right guard, they got fucking Trey Smith at 6'6", 330. Jesus Christ. Trey Smith, who is a dog. Like, he's a mountain. Right? So what are we going to do with Malik Collins and Chris Givens in the middle, man? I mean, is this an Evan Anderson day where you throw the young guy out there and say, hey, you don't know what you don't know. Go out there and just work your ass off. You know, I mean, right now, Kansas City would be ridiculous not to try to run the ball on us. How do you feel about this?
I agree with you. I think that they will. And they should, because they've got an offensive line mismatch. And Malik Collins for the Niners today was held out of practice with a knee. So we don't know if Collins is going to be 100% either. And that's a loss if you don't have him. So they might have to put Evan Anderson in the mix. And he played well last week, so let's see what he can get done. But we know what Andy Reid does well and what he loves to do. So it's not just establish the run. It's no one is better at designing screens than Andy Reid. No one is worse at defending them than us. One of the things that we've had a lot of trouble with is bunch formations. That was invented by Andy Reid. So we're going to see bunch formations and screens in addition to the run game. And it's how do you defend Kelce and still stop the screen? And then how do we communicate, given that we've got so many rookies on the field, to deal with bunch formations? Reid is going to challenge the Niners that way.
Well, hey, look, I think, and that's what I'm saying. I think they're going to play small ball. You're going to have like a lot of 3/4 sidearm throws by Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be a lot of pulling the string, guys shovel passes, getting to the top of the pocket, him climbing out of outstretched hands, scampering for a quick 7. I mean, it's going to be death by 1,000 cuts, man. I mean, and that's how they're going to play us offensively and then they're going to take their shots, right? As we move forward, as the game lulls along, they're going to start taking their shots. One thing for context is that there is a path for our defense to play this close to the vest. The Chiefs haven't scored 30 points this year.
Right.
They haven't scored 30 points this year. They're really relying on their defense. So in my opinion, run the ball, okay? lean on the young guys. I don't know if Jordan Mason, it seems as though that Jordan Mason is slotted to play. So we're hoping against hope that he can get that done. But in my opinion, we got to do it, Tom. Give me your prediction.
Kansas City 27-17.
I had us losing this game. Okay. They're on 10 days rest, Tom. This offensive line, I watched the film. This offensive line did very well against the Chiefs. I mean, against the Seahawks.
Seattle. Yeah.
I can't do it. I got us losing too, man. I got us losing. I got us losing in a close one, though. I'm saying 22-16. Defense is going to ball out, but offensively, I think that Kyle is not going to play it safe, man. You know what I'm saying? And then what's crazy is that he's not gonna strike when he needs to. It's not the players, Tom. I think what we don't want to understand, the common denominator out of every loss that we've had to the Chiefs is that we've been outcoached in every last one of them.
That's the key.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
We can give Spags his respect, right? Andy Reid is class personified, all right? And we could talk about the refs and Patrick Mahomes and all of that. But the truth is that when you put the coach against the coach, he gets outcoached. Defensively, they get outcoached. Offensively, they get outcoached. And Kyle's got to have those guys ready. That's the only way, because we were the better team in the Super Bowl. I know that's a horrible take right now, right? That's trash. It's a trash take. It looks horrible right now. But
we had the better talent. We didn't necessarily have the better team. And the reason they lost is because we had the worst coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's clearly they were outcoached on both ends.
Yeah.
And I look at this game and say, how can you expect anything different? I don't. But let's still run the scenario and say, okay, how can the Niners do this? They can run with Mason, but they can't overuse him because he's still not 100%, and you can't afford to lose him. So they have to be careful with him. You also have to throw horizontally. You've got to make sure that you get ways to get to the outside and beat them. You've got to find ways to get your speed players in space where they can make runs. So you've got to get the ball to Jacob Cowling in space and let him go. You've got to get the ball to Isaac Guerrero and let him go. You've got to find ways to get it done. I think that's what the Niners have to do. Is they're going to need explosives. They're going to need a one-play drive. They're going to need get it and go. Kansas City is very good at swarming, so that's tough to pull off. But I think that's the Niners' best hope offensively, is a mix of run in the horizontal game and short passes.
Right. And special teams, bro. We got to fix. We can't have games. I think I don't want to do it, but has there been a special teams defining play in every game that we've had thus far? It feels like it. It feels like it. Whether it's a big return, a blocked punt, a fumble, like something. It's always something on freaking Moody going down, like all types of crap. So special teams, man, they cannot have anything happen with special teams. I'll take a normal special teams day over what we've been doing weekly.
Yeah. Well,
right?
My bit on special teams is the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm. That's what they need. That's what they need, is just clean. You don't get killed for a touchdown. You don't get a field goal blocked. You get things done.
Hey, Chiefs again. Come on now. Come on, man. Y'all be holding more than a call center. Don't do that. We can come on, man.
Yeah.
Let's not get ignorant in here. We could talk about y'all be holding. Come on, son.
Of all the people that complain about refs, Chiefs fans are last in line. Don't give
That's
us
the
that.
12th man for y'all. Let's not start.
No, they got a playoff cut. No.
All right. We're gonna play it cool. So, Tom, 49ers trade deadline. Excuse me. With the trade deadline looming, the 49ers need to make strategic moves. In your opinion, which positions need attention and who might be on their wish list for a midseason boost?
I think they're looking at edge, defensive tackle, linebacker, defensive back. I think that's where I would look. Other people would add running back and tight end. I don't think that talent's really out there, but we'll see. There's a couple of edges that could be available. People are talking about Max Crosby. No. Mark Davis just said the other day that he is not trading Max Crosby, so let that one go. Hassan Reddick, the Jets are talking to him. He's finally got Drew Rosenhaus representing him, and they're canvassing the league, trying to work out a trade. Problem for the Jets is if they trade him to an NFC team, then the third-round pick that they owe Philly in 26 would go up to a second-rounder if Reddick is moved to an NFC team. So Reddick probably goes AFC. And so you look at it and say,
that's very good insight.
Yeah. So what else do you do? Azeez Ojulari from the Giants is supposed to be available. Kick the tires on him.
It's my guy.
I think the Niners have to take a look at him. Another person I would say would be
Foskey.
Let me get that. Foskey, sure. New England has plenty of players available, and Keon White is another guy I like who's had a good year. So those are guys they can look at. Defensive tackle, people mentioned DJ Jones, but Denver is in the thick of the AFC wild card, so I don't think Denver is going to be willing to trade DJ. They're 3-3, and they've got New Orleans and Carolina in their next two games. Those are both winnable for them. I don't see Denver trading, so DJ Jones is out. Another player that's mentioned in the rumors that would be amazing if they could do it, Greg Newsome, the DB from Cleveland. Excellent player, former first-round pick, 24. He's still got 1 year left, but he's kind of like Brandon Ayuk in that he's got a fifth-year option next year. It's only $13 million. He wants to get paid a lot more than that. So would the Niners trade for Newsome knowing that they would be taking on another Ayuk? That's hard to figure, but we'll see if they do. They've been interested in Newsome in the past, so I could see them at least looking into that given what's the price. Cleveland would ask for a lot because Newsome's a talented DB. The other one that I have is Ernest Jones, moved from the Rams to Tennessee. He's been a good player in Tennessee, but he's a free agent at the end of the year. You could get him as a rental. Tennessee only gave up a 2026 sixth-round pick for him. So all you have to do is beat that, and they do better on the deal. It's possible, given that they're going nowhere, that they might be willing to deal Jones. That's a player I would look at. I think he could really help the Niners. So that's my list, is who I think the Niners could pursue.
Right. That's basically my list and more. The only guy that I had that you didn't have is Isaiah Foskey out of the New Orleans Saints. The edge out of Notre Dame that they picked up. He's also been somebody who I think can fit us. What we really need is we basically need somebody to spell Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd, in my opinion, is a package guy. We've seen him long enough to understand that he's not a 60 snap a game. Going up against the run. He's just not in that stage of his career, right? So I don't want to disrespect him as if he never had that skill set, because he has, right? But
yeah,
I mean, at 33 years old, the film, man, the eye in the sky don't lie, bro. Like it gets bad sometimes, right? My biggest issue with going to get edge is that Yetur Gross-Matos is coming back. Right. So he's not gone. I think that the Niners may be looking at possibility of maybe trying to go get an inside backer. right? Maybe is Devin White still out there? Maybe they could kick the tires on him to see
Possibly.
what they could do. I would love to get another backer who can come into a defense and automatically just get downhill, give us that extra pop, that physicality, and in some instances that we're kind of missing right now. Devin White is a sideline to sideline player. He can still get downhill. It's not that things that he's old or things are bad. It's just that things just didn't work out between him and his former organization. Right? He can still play.
Yeah. Yeah.
My biggest thing right now is being able to get somebody on the defensive side. Now, offensively, do you really think that we need anybody? I just think that.
Well, I think they need to sign a running back, so I would like to see them sign Breida. And short of that, then you can look at McKinnon or Jermichael White and see if that's somebody you want to bring in because they know the system. But I'm uncomfortable with Mason being less than 100% in Garendo, and then you don't have much in Patrick Taylor, let's be honest. They need somebody more. They
I'm
need to
pushing
add.
back on that. So why don't you think that they have much in Patrick Taylor Jr.? They need, and let me hear me out before you go.
Okay.
He's a tough runner. Okay, he protects the football. He's going to give you plus average and fall forward. Okay, and he spells guys' legs that we need in Isaac Garendo to be able to get on the outside and still be that plus athlete in space. I don't understand why everybody, not everybody, but I've heard that comment before where people are kind of down on Patrick Taylor Jr. Help me out. Educate me on that.
Well, Patrick Taylor does certain things well. It's just he's limited. He's a good pass protector. That's what he did best in Green Bay. He can get tough yards inside where he'll fight.
Right.
But he doesn't have speed. He doesn't have pass catching ability. Makes it easier for a defense to figure out if Patrick Taylor's in the game, we know what he can and can't do. And that's my concern. That's why I would want somebody like Breida, somebody that would challenge the defense in more ways.
Yeah, I mean, okay, but in a way, what you're trying to say is, in my opinion, you're making Kyle's job easier for him by saying, "Oh, well, he's on the field. That's all he can do." You got to get Isaac Garendo on the field, man. If there's ways that you can get them both on the field at the same time, right? There's things that you can do to be able to get these guys the ball and be creative. Patrick Taylor Jr., in my opinion, is somebody that is valuable, especially in this junction of our season where we stand, right? He's valuable, in my opinion, because you never can have too many guys that can go get their own yards, right? He's a veteran back where he needs an offensive line, a good offensive, but he can play behind a bad offensive line, right? He can play behind somebody where he can generate his own yards and be able to get the creases that he needs to get to. And he has intricate vision. That's what I call intricate vision, where you're not finding a gap, but you're finding like daylight. You know what I mean? You're trying to get any type of movement. And for me, he gives us a little bit of bite in our running game that, quite frankly, maybe if that emerges while we pace out Jordan Mason, maybe we find something else, right? I'm just want to take you back to 2000, what is this? 2000, not even 2019, 2020, right? When we had that injured season, that 2020, what's that, the 2020 season? We're ridiculously injured, right? Yeah. You look at that, it just, for me, we had Jeff Wilson Jr. was our pace back, right? He was our inside grinder, okay? Then we had Tevin Coleman, okay? Tevin Coleman was our slasher, all right? And then we had Raheem Mostert, which he took the edges off, and that worked. I don't understand why we can't still do that, right?
Yeah. You can still have running back by committee and say that, okay, we've got Mason as the bell cow, Garendo as the speed back outside, and Patrick Taylor is the guy that'll just find a way and find a path inside. So you've got the skill sets covered. My only issue with Taylor is just when he's in the game, the defense's job is easier because they know what he can and can't do, as opposed to CMC or Mason or Garendo, that they can catch the ball. They're a threat outside. Taylor isn't. So my concern is if you lose Mason or if you lose Garendo, now what? If you have that kind of an injury, I would rather have somebody in depth available that can be a more versatile back that gives you some speed.
Agreed. I just wanted to strike a debate. So,
Okay.
what I wanted to talk about next is what I wanted to get into is our next topic, buddy. And this one is a good one. You kind of got me hip to this. I didn't see it coming. So I've only had about like maybe a couple of hours to really like chew on this. Pause. So my thing right now is there was a stat that was put out. I'm sure of you who are on X, the Elon machine. I know that some of you have seen this tweet come out, but of coaches who have coached 40 plus games decided by 7 points or less, Kyle Shanahan ranks 119th out of 124 with a percentage of 3.78. Though 5-2 in the playoffs, his regular season struggles in tight games raise concerns about the 49ers' ability to win close matchups. Where does this come from, Tom? This is a damning stat. So,
yeah. Well, this comes from one of the best, Josh Dubow from AP, who is excellent at finding these nuggets and then just putting the stat out there and saying, by the way, bang. And it's amazing. And he does this all the time. He had Jimmy G stats that no one had heard of, and then you see that stuff and whoa. And so this is another one where it raises an alarm that we already knew was a problem of Kyle not being able to finish games. But wow, 119th out of 124 in history. That's whoa. And we know why. It's Kyle. He doesn't close games. He doesn't finish well.
what do you think? Okay. So I'm gonna shoot Kyle some bail. Okay. It takes a lot to be labeled the guy who always throws the big game, but simultaneously never giving credit for being in the big game, right? So we have to give him credit, man. I'm gonna shoot him some bail.
Yeah.
He got to give him credit. He's there. He's at the seat. Okay. What do you see from just how can I put this? You know, you see things like Travis Kelce running into Andy Reid when Andy Reid is not giving him the ball, right? And like basically running over him on national television. You see Patrick Mahomes switching the offense, speeding up the offense when he understands that we're getting a groove defensively. They can strike during certain times of the game. I mean, is this all on Kyle? Are we being unfair to Kyle? Are we being unfair? Are we being ungrateful, just a-holes, right? Are we just missing the boat?
Well, I'm constantly an ungrateful a-hole, so I have to raise my hand to that.
But yes.
That being the case, though, Kyle has earned this. This is over his career. We have to keep that in mind. This is 20 years we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you can point to a player here, a player there, but when it's 20 years, when it's 119th out of 124 in history, that's something that's endemic to Kyle. It's intrinsic to him. And it comes back to what we were talking about last week of narcissistic supply. Kyle wants to feed his own ego by calling the best play in that particular down and distance, as opposed to what can help the team win, what can give the defense a rest, how you can close out the game and burn clock. Kyle is always focused on what'll get the most yardage. He's always digging into that Denny's menu, as you call it, and looking for the best offensive play every single down. And that's how you get to this. That's how you end up not being able to close like this. That's how you end up 119th. It's on Kyle.
How do we get out of it, Tom? moving forward, this is what worries me, because I like to look at things from the big picture, right? Top down. And I was such a fan of Kyle, bro. Like I used to be a Shanahan, bro. I used to be a Shanahan. Me.
Yeah.
And I thought that Kyle was so creative, right? I used to look at the run game, dude, especially his rookie season. I mean, dude, some of the stuff that Kyle was doing in 2018, bro, was amazing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always, and at that time, I was just like finishing coaching. Like I wasn't coaching anymore at that time. So for me, it always confused me when I used to hear people like chirp, like, oh, I still can't win the big game, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, whoa, like, that was odd. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't understand. As time has gone on, I've realized that this man has not evolved. He hasn't changed. The people that used to kind of like be under him or learn the offense from him, it's the remnants of the offense that you see in Kyle across the league is the run game. They all take the run game. And honestly, if you look at the tenets of outside zone or stretch zone, as they like to call it, dude, once you get the tenets of it, you really can flip it any way you want to, bro. Like you can run you can run outside zone out of literally anything, right? As long as you get the right steps, you get the right philosophy, you understand, you have the right offensive line, and they understand their aiming points. Like you can run outside zone, but you got to teach it. That's the point. That's what they take from Kyle.
Right.
But once you move forward, you start understanding that, man, the Rams, Miami, Minnesota, the Jets, Houston, Green Bay, none of them have our passing game. None of them. None of them have adopted what Kyle does through the air. And
by choice.
Yes. And for me, that's damning, because it shows that they're not necessarily taking over your scheme. They're taking over the tenets of what you didn't build. Kyle didn't build that running game. That running game was built by Coach Gibbs, Coach Taylor, and Coach Shanahan, Mike Shanahan. That's who built the run game, right? So you have to, as time goes on, my thing is that, Kyle, you got a scheme. I get it, right? And you got a good scheme. It works. And you know what? You are the SME, my man. You're the subject matter expert. Nobody outside of your daddy and probably your running backs coach knows this scheme better than you right now. But can you coach? But can you coach?
That's a different thing altogether.
Right. Like, that's what kind of took me off Kyle, because I need to see it in the raw, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, can you understand that your shit ain't working in the now and adjust and not care about what anybody thinks about you needing to adjust? Just go win the game, right?
But that's not in his nature. That's the problem with Kyle, is he's the gift and the curse. He's the gift creatively, where he can design and script, and he can do a great job with that. And the run game is excellent, as you point out. But then there's the curse. He can't adjust. He won't adjust in anything. Where has Kyle adjusted on a larger level, big picture, as a head coach? He does the same thing. I mean, 119th at 124, that's 20 years of doing the same thing. And so when are you going to take these inputs and change? He won't. Why? Narcissist. A narcissist doesn't listen. A narcissist follows his own beat, marches to his own drummer, is convinced he's the guy, he's special, and that's where you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, and I wanted to address this, Hugh. My man, look, it's just the game. You know what I mean? We just everyday people sitting on YouTube talking about a millionaire who plays a child's game. That's it. It's not that deep. All right. If everything stopped today, Kyle will be just fine understanding that we just having a conversation about what we've all seen. We're involved in this experience as well. We lose with him, right? Like we accrue these losses as well. So all I'm asking is, what are we going to do to get over the hump? And look, this is the thing too. I know the analytics of this channel, 95% of the people watching this is grown. All right. We talk about 40s and up. Everybody in here grown. All right. Everybody in here has been a football fan, I would venture to say, most of their life. And we all understand that if a coach does not win in the NFL, either his voice grows stale and they have to move on, or the organization doesn't move on and we lose with him anyway. So all I'm saying is that I'm not here to invent the scenario. I'm here to just highlight what's coming anyway. That's all. We've seen this story, not just with Kyle, with tons of other coaches. That's all I'm saying. And there's a way how to broach the subject respectfully and highlight what, you know what? I feel like everybody in here pretty much realizes that we're coming up in almost 10 years. Okay? 10 years. And we're asking ourselves, what are we doing to the point where the team has been ridiculously talented? Okay, we're not just, dude, think about this. This is why this topic is not serious, but important. We've moved the goalpost so much that we're just hoping for one ring. But you know what the real sad point about all of this is that we've almost missed a dynasty. All right, with the teams that we've had. We just weren't okay. We weren't just a little good, okay? We have had some of the best NFL rosters that you can think of, all right, with the amount of players that we've had. And the fact that we haven't won, okay, hey, if we don't think it's serious, we're going to go down as a footnote in history. I'm telling you.
Well, they'll get the golf. They'll have the 10-year reunion at Levi's. Golf clap.
And they'll get the golf clap.
And they'll deserve the golf clap. Kyle has said this team should already have 2 rings. It should.
Mm-hmm.
They should have won the NFC Championship game against the Rams. They should have won the Super Bowl coming out of that, because they would be playing Cincinnati, who they'd already beaten that year. And they should have won at least one of these Kansas City games. They didn't. Why? Because in the Kansas City Super Bowls, what's the common denominator? Losing on the offensive line. What is Kyle's credo that, in my opinion, prevents championships? He uses the offensive line for cost savings on the cap. Outside of Trent, he wants to spend as little money as possible to the right of him. And that's how you end up with Garoppolo facing pressure against Kansas City in Super Bowl I, and he goes 1 for 9 against pressure with the pick that cost him the game. Kansas City Super Bowl II, 9 unblocked pass rushers on blitzes. Again, Kyle, offensive line. That offensive line cap philosophy has to change. The offensive line investment has to change. Look at the change that's happened just because of drafting Pooney. Why can't you keep doing that? Why weren't you doing that before? Pooney illustrates why Kyle has failed. Here's a guy that's changing everything because Kyle finally used a pick on a lineman. You have to do more of that. In my opinion, Shanahan, the GM, is why they don't get over the hump, because his offensive line philosophy leads to mismatches in the Super Bowl that are exploited, and that's how you lose the game.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'll tell you this right now, man. We got to get over, ourselves. I think if there was ever a time, and I'm going to be completely honest, bro, I'm super critical of the team, right? But if there was ever a time where I truly would respect one ring, it would be if they did it this year. If they did it this year, if they found a way to get it done this year, they'd have a ton of respect from me.
Absolutely, absolutely.
They get a shit ton of
Because
respect.
doing that after coming off of a loss in the Super Bowl and to come back the next year and win,
Yeah.
the fortitude, the intestinal fortitude of doing that is off the charts. It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe this year that's possible, given that Detroit just lost Aiden Hutchinson. I had Detroit winning the NFC, and now it's wide open. I think the NFC could be one of those where it's whoever plays well late and hits a hot streak late in the year is the team that can ride that streak to get back to the Super Bowl. And that could be the Niners. I don't think it will be, but it could be. And this is the
Right.
kind of year where something like that's possible. And so we'll see what they do. I hope that they can get it done and get over the hump, but the pessimist in me says it won't happen, unfortunately. But we'll see.
Well,
It's on Kyle. He has to know what he has to overcome. And until he's honest with himself, this will continue to be a barrier.
I see a gap, in my opinion. And I like what I'm seeing. You look at where we stand for the rest of the season. Okay, we're at 3-3. We got the Chiefs coming up. All right. We played Thursday, but we got a good day's rest. We got some good time off, which is much needed. If you think about it, what I love about this is that I've been saying this since we started the season. The first month of the season is essentially going to be our camp. Camp is over. Okay. We had 6 weeks, 3-3. We came out 500. We had ups, we had downs. We haven't necessarily beaten anybody good yet, to be truthful, okay? But we got as much time off as we've had all season. The guys get a chance to regroup, come back, and get better. If we come and beat the Chiefs, all right, I'm feeling good against Dallas.
Oh, sure.
All right? Feeling good against Dallas. If we find a way to go 2-0 coming into the bye and being 5-3 coming into the bye, Tom, that would be phenomenal. And I'm feeling hopeful. I just want us to be able to get over our coaching woes against the Chiefs. I don't think it's going to be a player for player situation. The Chiefs offensively, they don't scare me. What they do have is that offensive line and Patrick Mahomes, which is, one of one. But defensively, I think we can keep up with these guys. I think that defensively, what they're going to do against us is they're trying to go man. They're going to blitz us all damn day. They're going to make our offensive line as uncomfortable as possible. It's up to Kyle to run the ball. I'd love to see us pick up the tempo. Close us out, Tom.
The opportunity is there for the Niners. The team still has a belief in themselves. They haven't necessarily shown it on the field yet. So it's a process. You have to constantly evolve your execution. And so they come into this Kansas City game and they say, if we can get our execution to the point we need to, we can win this game. But Kyle has to enable that and not get seriously outcoached. That's one. 2, they have to lean on their rookies. Kyle has to say, these guys are helping us win, and I need to lean on that. This is their best draft from a depth perspective in the Shanahan era. Lean on all of these guys. Get your rookies, trust them, play them. You need them. And conversely, take players like Devondre Campbell off the field. He's hurting you. You have to use the guys that can win the game. Campbell loses you games. He can't be out there. So let's see what else they can get done. But they have to focus. That's the bottom line. I don't see them beating Kansas City, but even if they lose, Dallas will help them recalibrate and focus because it's Dallas. They take pride in beating Dallas. They've owned Dallas. And I think that regardless of what happens in this game, they will be out and ready for the Cowboys, and they'll beat them. So at worst, they're 4-4 going into the bye. At worst. This game, I have too much respect for Reed and Spagnuolo to think Kansas City loses this game. I just don't think they will.
Yeah, I think so too. But I don't know, man. I'm in my team feels right now. Right, we're 3-3. I'm in my feels. I can't be too pragmatic about the team right now. I think that they've done enough to get a camp to actually get their legs under them. I want to see them look like themselves. Right, if they're going to lose, I want them to go out looking like themselves. I don't want them to go out falling off the cliff. They didn't take the offseason seriously. The league, the league is one step ahead of them. I just don't want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? Like, I want them to get their shit under them. And look, all I need to know is that the Niners are back to fitting form before I can start looking at them the same way. But until then, I just want to see if they're going to get back to their form, right? And game by game, we've had peaks and valleys, as we said. I think one of the biggest things is them taking it seriously, them realizing, like, all right, look,
Sure.
we just can't coast, man. Like, do we lose against the Chiefs if we come in with the same attitude that we did against the Seahawks? I don't think so, right? But I think that Kyle said it best. He said that he'll never say that it's a must-win game if it mathematically isn't a must-win game, right? So I get that. But he did say, I let the fellas know that without saying it, this is damn near as close as a must-win game as you can get to, right? And
I disagree with that, actually.
Talk to me.
It's an AFC team, even if they lose. So
No. He was saying the Seattle game, not the Chiefs game.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, the Seattle game, I agree with him.
Right.
Chiefs game, I don't think this is a must-win at all. I think it would help their psyche. It would help their confidence if they won. But even if they lose, I think the Dallas game will recalibrate them and they'll be fine.
Right. So look, Tom, it was another great show. I'm glad you got me out of here. Guys, we go a little bit longer, pause, than we usually do. But I'm sick. I need to get better so I can be back and do film review. What I want to do tomorrow, guys, is I want to do a film review of the Chiefs, right? We do a lot of watching of the 49ers, but I'm going to go in and just break down the Chiefs offense. We're going to look at their offensive line. We're just going to look at the new look Chiefs tomorrow to be able to understand what they bring to the table with just, Juju Smith-Schuster had a big day for them, right? They still have Travis Kelce, see exactly how they're utilizing him. Offensive line-wise, I want you to guys know exactly what I'm talking about when I bring up these guards that they have, okay? Tooney, Humphrey, Smith, all right? We're going to be able also to see exactly what they have in their new burner in Xavier Worthy, their rookie that they just picked up in the first round. So tomorrow, we're going to go over Chiefs film so we can self-scout and see exactly what these guys are going to give us this weekend. Also on Thursday, I have the four-man front, which is going to be on Last Second Sports with Jesse. Tom, what do you have coming up this weekend, brother?
Nothing. Just watching the game and writing some stuff. I've got a NFC playoff preview coming up later this week, and then previewing the Chiefs game.
Hey, also, a couple of things that I wanted to get, a couple of housekeeping things. Number one, I wanted to thank everybody for the live watch parties that we do. They have been taken off. I just want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart. The support that I've been seeing, the feedback that I've been getting is, it's humbling, to be quite honest with you. Also, I want to give a shout out to the platform. We just hit over 7,000 subscribers, man. Guys, we up in the scope. I just want to thank everybody, all of my new subscribers, all of my old and first-time subscribers. You guys, I understand that this is truly a privilege, all right? This is not something that I take for granted. I know that all of this could be gone by tomorrow, and I want to work for y'all. I hope all of you guys that have been here since day one have seen the growth and understand that we will keep growing, all right? And if you guys just rock with me, I'm going to rock with y'all. As always, Tom, this is the coach. Stay low. Stay low. And keep your feet moving. Love you guys. Talk to you guys.